Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from theblackbusinessschool.com. And I was sitting here, I decided to do a quick live stream just for fun. I had a few minutes of extra free time. So I decided I wanted to hang out and talk about just some of the stuff I've been seeing, in the media. Like a lot of people, I'm ready to watch this big game tomorrow, this big game between the Warriors and the Cavs. And I was checking out this whole interesting controversy about Ayesha Curry. Ayesha Curry, in case you don't know her, she's the drop dead gorgeous wife of bionic superstar Steph Curry. And Ayesha has her own mind, her own opinions. She's got a strong voice and she uses it. And she said a couple of things that were really interesting. She said the NBA was rigged, which was huge. A lot of people were like, whoa, whoa, because Ayesha and Steph have been kind of marketed as the first family, so to speak, of the NBA. A lot of people feel that her husband is the best player in the league, and that they, are kind of a model family. Well, I can guarantee you that that's not the case now. The NBA executives are probably sitting back in a room saying, well, what are we going to do with this lady? How are we going to, kind of calm her down a little bit? Because I think that what's interesting is that Ayesha doesn't realize how young she is. Sometimes when you get that much power in your 20s, and I'm not in my 20s anymore, so I kind of know I can look back on it and reflect. And sometimes when you get that much power when you're that young, you think that you can't be taken down. You think that you can't be blackballed. You think that they can't retaliate against you because you're so good. Well, the thing is, number one, athletic ability diminishes over time. So, when Steph is 33, 34, they'll be replacing him with some other young guy that's going to come along and be the new superstar. So, relatively speaking, relative to the length of a career, an athletic career is not very long. And then number two, they can almost anybody can be replaced in a professional sports league. They can make somebody else the face of the league. They can make somebody else the star. And so I think Ayesha probably, in my opinion, has to sort of reconsider the implications of what she's saying. I'm not saying she doesn't have a right to say it at all. But there are consequences for what we say, if everything, right? And here's my position. I think it's interesting that a lot of people have turned this into a gender thing because you got that bonehead Stephen A. Smith. I'm not a fan of Stephen A. I've been on his show a lot. When he had that show, quite frankly, he had me on several times. He always treated me with respect. I have to give him those props. But from a man-to-man standpoint, he does a whole lot of cooning on ESPN. And ESPN pays big money. They are the cash cow for Disney, and it's an amazing network that just makes money hand over fist. I was actually talking to the brother who I don't know if y'all remember the brother. What is his name? I should talk about his real name. He was the brother that played Ron on Different World, Dwayne Wayne's best friend. Daryl Bell, that's the brother's name. We were having lunch, and he was actually talking about how much more money ESPN makes over all the other cable networks, and he was explaining the business model, why ESPN does so well. So what that does is that translates into a lot of economic gain for guys like Stephen A. Smith, who's able to make money hand over fist from being one of the lead commentators. So there's a lot of money there, right? So maybe for him the coonery pays, but I'm not a fan of it. I think he should be called out on it. I think that when he's talking to black folks, he talks to us in a certain way, very condescending and disrespectful, because he's thinking, well, Negroes don't pay my bills. But when he talks to white folks, especially white women, he kind of does as my friend Tariq Nasheed broke out. He does the whole zippity doo dah imitation. It's kind of like white women. He becomes very passive, submissive, very emasculated. But with black people, it's like, well, I don't care what y'all think. I don't care what black people think. The black community that can kiss my black ass. He wouldn't say that, but that's pretty much what he's saying. So, so going back to Ayesha, here's my point of view on Ayesha. And it's probably going to piss everybody off on one hand, but it's probably going to make some people happy. They'll probably do a mixture of both. So here's my position very, very simply. Ayesha has a right to speak. She does. Everybody has a right to speak. And you talk about the voices of women. I believe women should have a voice. I believe that we have a problem in our society where we mute the voices of women. We don't let women talk the way they should. I've had my own issues with that. I let women on my YouTube channel deliberately because I feel that the black community loses when we don't allow women to have the voice they deserve. Here's the thing. If you flip the gender, though, and let's say I'm married to a woman who is prominent. She's Oprah Winfrey, or she's a professional athlete, or she's a judge. I was actually at one point, believe it or not, I was actually going to marry a woman who was going to be a judge, and I had to think about these things. I would be very, very cautious about saying anything that might jeopardize or cause problems for my wife in her position. If she has a prominent position, I don't want to say anything that's going to embarrass her or make it hard for her. Now, I don't know what conversations Steph and Ayesha have had behind closed doors. Maybe Steph has said, you know what, baby, do your thing, just speak your piece, do what you want to do. But it could be a situation where they present a united front, but behind the scenes, he's saying, come on, you're going to mess me up. Because everybody acts as if, Ayesha can say whatever and it doesn't affect Steph, but that's bullshit. It does affect Steph Curry. It is going to affect his career. There are NBA and NFL players who can't get signed to teams because they know that their spouse is going to make trouble for the organization. And so, not to say that it's right or wrong, but what I will say is that you got to remember the NBA makes money not because the players are good. There are great basketball players all over the world, many of whom can't even get a job. The NBA makes money because they have established brands and they have a business model that brings in revenue from corporate sponsors, sells tickets to fans, all of this. So everything you see that we see is just this sort of pure competition and all that. No, it's business. It's straight business. And so when you have somebody in the business that's disrupting the business model, it causes the business people in the business office to be concerned about their business. So notice I use the word business about 6 or 7 times. It is a business. So when you have the leading lady in your league saying that the league is rigged, people are like, whoa, you're disrupting the brand of the NBA. You're making us appear like the WWF. So am I a fan of Ayesha saying that? I'm not a fan or not a fan. I don't care. But what I will say is everything you say has consequences, and you'd be stupid not to know that. Also, here's another thing I would say. If you're going to say something on social media, stick by what the hell you said. Don't tweet it and then take it down, and then tweet it and take it down. That is a sign of immaturity. It's a sign of emotional volatility. It's a sign of a person who's not calculated in terms of how they think. I've said a whole lot of crazy shit online and on TV and everywhere else, but I stand by every single word I have uttered since I started speaking publicly at the age of 25. 25 years old was the first time I ever wrote an article for the public, first time I ever did anything in media or anything like that. I even stand by stuff I said way back then. So what I would just generally say is that you got to know that there's consequences, and and I think that we some people have flipped this into this man versus woman issue, and it kind of is. I mean, is Stephen A little bit sexist? I don't know, probably, but I know he's definitely a coon in my opinion. I mean, well, I don't say a total coon. That's kind of mean. He has a coonery kind of thing, a zippity doo dah in his personality that comes out that ends up to the detriment of the black community, that leads to black people being disrespected. So I'm not a fan of Stephen A. at all. I'm a bigger fan of Ayesha Curry. I love Ayesha Curry, actually. I think Ayesha, she reminds me of my daughter. My daughter's about the same age. A strong voice, very intelligent, clearly beautiful. But that's what God did. That's not something you don't earn beauty, right? And she carries herself well. She carries herself in a way where you're like, okay, I'm proud of her. That's what's up. But at the same time, if she were my child, or if she were my sister or my relative, I would say, okay, now you sure you want to take on the NBA? Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you're ready for what's going to come for your husband if this goes this way? Because you can't think for a second that Steph Curry can't be replaced or blackballed or undermined in some way. I've seen it happen. Better players have been made to disappear in the NBA. In fact, what was that brother's name? Look at Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, Etan Thomas, who used to play in the NBA, smart brother, good friend of mine. He put up stats on Gilbert Arenas in his first few years in the league. Gilbert Arenas was right there with Steph Curry in terms of points and rebounds and assists and all of that. Where's Gilbert Arenas right now? Gone. Gilbert Arenas ain't nowhere to be found. And a lot of it, I believe, is because Gilbert Arenas is a damn idiot. Now, Steph Curry's not an idiot though. Steph Curry's cool, and Ayesha's cool too. But Gilbert Arenas, to me, is just a dude who, thought. I guess he thinks that because if you're good enough, nothing can happen to you. And what you got to understand is that this is a white man's league. they can make your black ass disappear like that, no matter who you are. They can make LeBron disappear. That would be a tough disappearing act, but they can pull it off. But going back to Stephen A. Smith, let's look at it from that angle and talk about Stephen and his comments and Ayesha. He compared Ayesha to LeBron's wife, which was like uncalled for, really. I understand what he's trying to do, but it kind of feeds into this idea that you're really telling these women, like, look, you're a non-entity. The greatest thing you'll ever be is the wife of a basketball player. And I don't know about y'all, but that would be depressing for me, to have a life where the best thing I can be is the wife of somebody else. And really, we perpetuate that. We feed into this ideology, because that's why we have stupid shows like Basketball Wives, where you got a bunch of women, most of whom were never married to anybody, so they weren't even wives. But weren't married to anybody, but their greatest claim to fame is who they married. And you can't. I'm not a fan of that. Living through other people, you're your own person. You should be able to live through yourself. Don't live through somebody else. So I think that Stephen A's comment was not quite. It wasn't leveled in the right way. I think that he wasn't the right person to make it. I think a woman maybe could have made that comment and it would have came off better. But even then, you've got people, the extreme feminists, who have a selfishness about them, a selfishness where it's like, you should be able to say whatever you want to whoever you want, whenever you want, and if anybody has a problem with it, they can kiss your ass. No. When you're part of a family, you're part of a community, part of a unit where you have to think about the collective more than you think about yourself. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people really think that they take pride in being able to go into any situation, say whatever they want to whoever they want, and blow up relationships, destroy families, destroy everything, as long as they get to do what they want to do. And I'm not a fan of that either. I don't teach that to my girls. I don't talk. I say, look, make whatever decision you want, but understand that you're part of a collective. When you're part of a collective, and this is something black people have taken this from white people. White people think very individualistically. White people as a culture, many of them, not all of them, but when you talk about, things like feminism and all this other stuff, it's very, very individualistic. It's very much built on, I'm going to get mine, I'm going to take care of me, and that's it. That's why marriages don't last. That's why families break up. That's why people get in fights. That's why all these crazy things happen. But I believe in community. So if I'm married, again, let's take out gender. Let's assume I'm married to a woman. Let's say I meet my dream wife. As beautiful as Beyonce, the smartest woman in the world, and she is, has some important position. She becomes president of the United States. So I become the first man. My wife is the president, and I got some stuff on my chest. I think the government's corrupt. I want to tweet, and I got 2 million Twitter followers because they know I'm married to the president. If I get pissed off about something I'm seeing, I'm not really going to let it out on Twitter. The only way I would do that is if I have gotten a validation from my wife or permission when she says, look, I want you to say the things I can't say. So go ahead, sweetie, use your voice. Number one, if I got valid and okay from my wife, I might do it. Or two, if I'm ready to destroy my relationship potentially by pissing her off and causing her, to possibly lose her job, those are the only two ways I'm gonna do it. Either if I've been given permission or I'm seeking to destroy. And then number three, I have to be sure that this is what I want to say. I have to be sure that I'm ready for the consequences. So to me, when you tweet something, again, I know it was emotional, but shit, I mean, when you're trying to operate and play the game at the highest levels, you got to control your emotions. You got to be mature. So when you tweet something and you take it down right afterward and then come up with an explanation for why you said what you said, that just indicates a lack of maturity on her part. But then again, she's 26, 27, so we all did dumb stuff in our 20s. I mean, I would hate to be like attacked for every dumb thing I ever did and said when I was in my 20s. You grow into that. So I think that's a more balanced way to kind of look at the Ayesha Curry thing. I think that when people are trying to make it one thing or the other, either Ayesha's right or Steven's right or somebody else is right, I think you miss the nuances of the conversation. I think the reason I know Ayesha was wrong to put that tweet up is because even Ayesha admits that she's wrong. Even Ayesha took it down. When you take it down, that tells me that you regretted what you did. So believe me, there's going to be hell to pay behind the scenes. It'll probably undermine her ability to work with the NBA to build her business. It'll undermine her husband's ability to do the things he wants to do. Like if he wants to go into coaching afterward, that's the thing. When you're trying to be a coach, people don't care a whole lot about, how great of a player you were. But in the NBA, it's all about politics. Like a lot of us think, see, black folks, we only see celebrities a lot of times. Not everybody, but a lot of black people are hypnotized by celebrities because so many of us become famous athletes and rappers and all this other stuff. We make the mistaken assumption that the celebrity has the power. No, that's not true. The celebrity ain't got the power. The power belongs to the people who control the money. The power belongs to the people who run the business model. Those are the ones who control everything. Fame and fortune are manufactured. So when you talk about the NBA, the stars are not the ones who are controlling everything. People who think, oh, well, he can just go and start his own league and do this and do that. No, it's not that easy. Understand this. LeBron James might have a little bit of money. Steph Curry got some money. But go compare how much they make, how much they're worth, to how much the owners are worth. The team owner, that's the guy who writes LeBron's check, the guy who writes Steph Curry's check, probably has about 100 times more wealth than both of those guys do. They probably make more money in about 2 weeks than either one of those guys makes in an entire year, maybe even in a decade or so. I mean, it depends. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but when you got billions of dollars, you make money just by sitting still. You literally, Mark Zuckerberg, for example, who runs Facebook, he's not a team owner, but just use him as an example. He makes more money in a month than LeBron James will make in his whole entire life. And that's for doing nothing. So that's why black folks, when we think about business model, when you think about all of this stuff, entertainment, whatever it is you're looking at, you got to understand the business model. You want to get your kids ready, teach them about business models. Don't teach them how to just dribble a damn basketball. That ain't going to get that. Number one, that's only going to get them so much power. And number two, you're only going to have so many LeBron Jameses and so many Steph Curry. So it's a stupid model for us to have 100,000 kids trying to be the next LeBron. That's dumb, because you're going to have one LeBron and 999 other dudes who have this amazing, unmarketable skill of being able to dribble basketball and shoot 3-point shots. That don't pay no bills. Learning business, learning technology, that's what pays the bills. So anyway, let me jump in here and let's see here. I'm looking at some of the questions. I see why are we talking? Okay, Yvonne says, why are we talking about this? I don't know, Yvonne. You got to ask yourself, why are you even on the live stream? It sounds like you want to talk about it because you're here. Let's see. Kenyami says, no, it does not. She took it down for BS like this. Okay, all right. So you're saying that she doesn't regret what she said, that she took it down because she was worried about the backlash. No, I think she took it down because she wasn't ready for the backlash. I mean, if I'm ready for the backlash on something I say, I don't take it down. I'll leave it up and I say, now what? What you go? Why don't y'all go complain? Even though she knew she was wrong for all those trying to defend her. Time to build our own NBA. Marcella says this. Negro Black Association. And take back the billions of dollars that everyone else profits from. That's absolutely true. And I can't answer all the questions, but because I got to get back to work. But what I will say is that, the idea of building our own in the black community is very, very important to kind of deal with things like this, because I think that if you had a scenario where the business is owned by black people, there's a lot more tolerance for this kind of stuff. A lot more tolerance for what Ayesha did. She's not going to be punished. A lot of black people go to work every day in situations where you get punished like a child. Where if you get out of line, you get out of pocket, you say something you ain't supposed to say, you do something you ain't supposed to do, they're going to literally treat you like a little baby and spank you on the ass. And the reason that we can't fight back against that is because we don't treat and teach our children how to build their own. We don't prepare to build our own. We try to latch on to what the white man got. We're looking to impress him enough by doing enough tap dancing that he'll let us into his organization and pay us some good money. So that's it. That's all I want to say. Somebody says, bring your speaking to Cleveland. Well, you know what? I'm actually coming to Cleveland pretty soon. I'm coming to there's a conference. Malik Shabazz, the guy that I respect, asked me to come to speak at a conference called the Conference for the Oppressed. And it's in Cleveland, I think in July, and I will be one of the keynotes, so I look forward to that. And by the way, I'm going to get on out of here, guys. And in case you haven't bought Hidden Colors 4, just so you know, we are selling Hidden Colors 4 in conjunction with a bundle pack that includes a free course in the Black Business School, four e-copies of my books, as well as this really awesome lecture that Tariq Nasheed and I did, where Tariq actually breaks down and explains how he built his multi-million-dollar film empire. Because at the end of the day, black people are trying to build. That's what we want to do. So if you want to take advantage of this offer, it's limited time only. You can go to hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. That's hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. Also, go check out blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com if you want to see our wealth building program for children. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So take care, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Peace.